Good morning to all of you. In the previous lecture, we have discussed about three different types of leaf spring, and now we are going to discuss about the last one is a laminated semi-elliptical leaf spring. Okay, the leaf spring which you are seeing on the right side. This is called as laminated semi-elliptical leaf spring. I will tell you how this construction is done and whatever the procedure is there in the previous lecture only I told you how you are going to find out the stress induced in the spring, leaf spring, and how to calculate the deflection as well as load carried by uh, graduated leaves. Here you can see that these are the graduated leaves and these are full length leaves. As I told you, for heavy loaded vehicles, they will use two full length leaves. Otherwise, one full length leaves will be used. The previous diagram which was shown, in that one full length leaf was there. In this case, two are there. This is one and this is two. These are the two full length leaves. After that, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Means graduated leaves are 5. 5 graduated leaves are there. And how this laminated semi-elliptical leaf spring is constructed. Okay, as you can see that it contains a bundle of steel strips bind one over the other, and these are held together by a band shrunk. Okay, which is at the center, and this is nothing but a U bolt. By using the U bolt, all the leaves are going to be joined together, and this the largest leaf, okay, which is there, it is fastened to the chassis. Okay, this full length leaf, okay, it will be attached to the chassis and it is called as a master leaf or full length leaf. As I told you, for heavy loaded vehicles, two full length leaves will be provided. Otherwise, one full length leaf is sufficient, and this will be fastened to the chassis. And these laminated springs, these are called as laminated springs. For heavy loads, usually that is more than one master leaf is used, and the other leaves which are seeing, these are shorter leaves. Those are called as graduated leaves. These are shorter leaves which are called as graduated leaves, and are tapered in width as well as thickness. These are tapered in width as well as thickness, such that to give that triangular shape. Okay, if you provide that, whatever the stress distribution is there, it will be uniform throughout the leaf spring. Otherwise, if you are using a cantilever, then the maximum stress will be at the support. And whatever this rebound clips are there, these rebound clips are used to prevent separation of the leaves during the rebound. If these rebound clips are not provided, the possibility that during the vibration or during the rebound, this might come out. For that reason, this rebound clip is used to prevent it from separating, okay, during the vibration, and it will make sure that this rebound clip will make sure that it will have a proper contact between the leaves at all the time, not only during the vibration, all the time. It should not get separated. For that reason, this rebound clip is used. This is how the laminated semi-elliptical spring is manufactured, or it is done. After that, whatever the next procedure is there, you have to use the same procedure which you are using for multi-leaf spring. Here you can see that it is having more than one leaf, so it is called as multi-leaf. In that, it is a laminated semi-elliptical leaf spring. This is about the laminated semi-elliptical leaf. Okay. And usually, when you are going to take the full length leaf and graduated leaves. Here you can see that in this figure, this is a full length leaves and this is a graduated leaves. Always a gap will be there, that is before putting this U-bolt, okay, and that gap is called as nipping, or they will call it as nip, and it is denoted by small c, and this is the formula which is used to calculate that. Here you can see that the initial gap between the full length, this is the full length, and this is the graduated leaf with pre-stress, okay, and usually this process is called as nipping, and why that nipping is done, I will explain that. That is the important. Why? Because as I told you, the stress distribution throughout the um, leaf spring, that is laminated semi-elliptical leaf spring, it should be same, okay, for that reason. And what this is napping or nap is called as, okay. Usually stress in the full length leaf is 50% greater than the stress in the graduated leaves, okay. Once again I will repeat that the stress in the full length leaves is 50% greater than the stress in the graduated leaves, okay. In order to utilize the material for the best advantage, all the leaves should be equally stressed. As I told you, if the stress of the full length leaf is more and graduated leaf is less, okay, if you want to take the advantage of this, otherwise uh, the full length will be subjected for maximum stress and the full length leaf will fail, okay. You need to make sure that whatever the stress is there, it will be uniformly distributed in order to utilize the maximum material uh, to the best advantage of all the leaves should be equally stressed. Okay. How the equal stress can be achieved? There are two ways to achieve that. First one is by making this full length leaves for smaller thickness. Here you can see that whatever the thickness of this full length leaves is there, it can be reduced or you can make it smaller than the graduated leaves. Here you can see that the thickness of the graduated leaves is same. You can make the thickness of the full length leaves less than that of the graduated leaves. By doing that, what you are going to get is that in this way we are going to, or the full length leaves will induce a smaller bending stress. How it is going to induce smaller bending stress? Because whatever the distance is there, because of the small distance from the neutral axis to the edge of the leaf, neutral axis to the edge of the leaf, as I told you in the previous lecture, if this is the this is neutral axis, this is neutral axis, okay. If you reduce the thickness, this is the thickness, if you reduce the thickness of the full length leaf less than that of the graduated leaves, because of that you are reducing the distance from the neutral axis to the uh, edge of the leaf, or it is called as the fiber of the leaf. As a result of that, you are going to reduce the bending stress. As the thickness increases, the bending stress increases. If it is reduced, then the bending stress will be reduced. That is the one way to reduce that, and the best way to reduce the thickness is the second one. And the second best way is by giving a what do you call that, greater radius. Here you can see that the radius of a graduated leaves, okay, if you make the radius of the full length leaf greater than that of the graduated leaves, means by that you can make the stress distribution throughout the section equal. it is going to increase the life of the leaf spring by giving a greater radius of curvature to the full length leaves than that of the graduated leaves before the leaves are assembled. This has to be done before assembly. After assembly, it cannot be done. Before assembly only, you need to give the greater radius of curvature for the full length leaves. After that, assembly has to be done. Okay, and by doing so, you are going to have a gap. Okay, by doing so, a gap or a clearance, this is called as gap or clearance, will be left between the leaves. Why? Because once you have a greater radius, it will have a gap in between the graduated leaves and the full length leaves. This initial whatever the gap is there, this is called as nap or napping. It is shown with uh, C. It is denoted by small c. And how to calculate the value of c using a formula. This is the formula. Using that, you can calculate that distance c. Depends upon I dash, that is how many of number of leaves are there. Depending upon that, you are going to get the value c. And how napping can be observed in a leaf spring, I'm going to talk about that. I will show that with the figure. Yes. Whatever the figure which you are seeing, here you can see that a napping is there in the specimen. Okay. In this, when this central bolt, okay, which is going to holding the various different types of leaves together is tightened. Okay, when you're going to tighten that, the full length okay will bend back as shown in this dotted. Here you can see that as you are going to use the center bolt, that is U bolt, which are shown in the previous figure. When you use that center bolt U bolt, okay, various leaves which are going to tighten, okay, and the full length leaf will bend back as shown in the dotted. If you can see that it is shown in the dotted, means it is coming in contact with the graduated leaves. Okay, and while doing, I think I lost when you're going to use the U bolt, okay, and when you're going to tighten that, here initial stress will be induced in the direction opposite to that of the normal loading. Whatever the normal loading is there, the stress induced, initial stress induced will be opposite in the direction. Okay, and that initial gap which is maintained between the full length leaf and the graduated leaves before assembly is called as camber or nip. And when the center of this full length leaf is drawn towards the, when the center of the full length leaves is drawn towards the graduated leaves to assemble, then the full length is drawn towards, the full length leaves is drawn towards the graduated leaves to assemble that. Then the full length will bend and have an initial stress opposite to that which are produced because of the normal loading. Okay, and this condition is called as pre-stressing. This condition is called as pre-stressing, and this pre-stressing is achieved, okay, by difference in radii of the curvature. That is, pre-stressing is achieved by difference of radii of curvature. Why? Because the radius of curvature of full length leaves is different. Radius of curvature of graduated leaves is different. When you take the difference in radii of curvature, that is called as napping, and that initial gap to be provided between the two leaves before assembly is given by the formula 11.32a, which you have seen. Yeah, this is the formula which is used to calculate that. I hope you have understood this nap or sorry, nip or nipping. As you have seen the different types of leaf spring, four different types. Okay, and now we can take problems on leaf spring. Okay, the first problem is determine the width and thickness. He has asked you to calculate the width B and thickness H. Width B and thickness H of a flat spring carrying. It is a flat spring carrying a central load. Central load is 5000 Newton. Therefore, central load is nothing but it is denoted by capital F. F is equal to 5000 Newton. The deflection is limited to 100 mm. The deflection Y is given as 100 mm. Note down that. The spring is supported at both ends. The spring is supported at both ends at a distance of 800 mm. Means this is nothing but simply supported beam condition. You have to understand the statement. What he has given, the spring is supported at both ends. Okay, if this is a spring, it is supported at both ends, means it is a simply supported beam at a distance of 800 mm. Whatever the distance is there, it is 800 mm. The allowable stress is 300 Newton per mm square. Sigma is given as 300 Newton per mm square. And modulus of elasticity is 221 gigapascal. Modulus of elasticity is 221 gigapascal. Stress as well as deflection is given in mm. Stress is in Newton per mm square. That's why I convert this gigapascal into megapascal. Okay. 221 into 10 raised to 3. Remaining is 10 raised to 6. It is nothing but megapascal. Full point. Next, what condition he has given is the spring is of a constant thickness and varying width. One more condition he has given. It is the spring is of a constant thickness and varying width. In this, it is not a constant cross section. It is constant thickness and varying width. You have to see the beam, that is simply supported beam, and constant thickness and varying width. Therefore, for simply supported and the spring is of a constant thickness and varying width. From the data handbook. From data handbook, you have to refer to the figure. Here you can see that the first A, B, C figure. All the three figures are cantilever. Here you can see that one end it is fixed, other end it is free. If they mention constant cross section, you have to take this cantilever. Constant cross section, you have to take this cantilever. Constant thickness and varying width, you have to take this. Third one, that is figure C, cantilever, constant width, varying thickness. You have to take this condition. Whereas in your given problem, it is a simply supported. Simply supported, all the three D, E, F is a simply supported. After that, one more condition what he has given is constant thickness and varying width. Okay, not variable width. Here the width is varying, means he has given the condition E. From figure 11.10, you have to select the condition is E. Okay, and in this table number 11.9, okay, Condition is E, simply supported. Figure E you have to select. In that, he has given the value of C1 and C2. How much is the value of C1 and C2? C1 is 3, C2 is 3. This is how you need to take down the C1, C2 value. Therefore, from table number 11.9, page number 198, and you have selected the figure 11.10E. From that, you are going to get the value of C1 and C2. After getting C1, C2 value, next is to find out the maximum stress in the spring. Okay, already you have derived this equation in the previous lecture. To find out the stress induced in the spring, you have to use equation 11.27a. Okay, by referring that 11.27a, sigma is equal to C1 FL by BH square. Stress is given, C1 value is known 3, F is also given, F is 5000, L, if you see the figure here, if you see this figure, in this you can see that it is not the L, it is 2 times L. Okay, don't get confused. For cantilever it is L, whereas for simply support it is 2 times the L. Okay, from this 2L is equal to 800, this is given as 800, therefore L is equal to 400. Substitute L is equal to 400. B and H, both the values you need to calculate, keep it like that only. All this as equation 1. Okay, in the equation 1, 2 unknowns are there. If 2 unknowns are there, will not get. Okay, but he has asked you to calculate B and H. What is the other way to calculate that? You just see the formula or given data. Given data is F is given. Now you can see that in the equation 1, 2 unknowns are there. He has asked you to calculate B and H. See the given data, F is given, deflection is given. If deflection is given means you can use maximum deflection equation, which is there in 11.27b. Use that equation. Why? Because Y is given. Use maximum deflection equation. Y is equal to C2 FLQ by EBHQ. Okay. In this case, Y is given, substitute C2, calculated 3. And L is 400. Substitute all the values. After substituting values, still BH cube. B is not given, H is not given. You need to calculate that. You will get equation 2. Okay. Now solving equation 1 and 2. Okay, divide equation 2 by 1. Divide equation 2 by 1. Dividing that B will get cancel, H square and cube. Remaining is H. In this only H will remain. From this you will get it as 2.172. Round it off to 2.5 mm. Okay. This is the H which you are going to obtain. After that, next you need to calculate B. Now substitute the value of H in equation 2 as well as equation 1. You will get 2 B values. In equation 1, if you substitute H is equal to 2.5, okay, I rounded it off to 2.5. The B value will get as 3200 mm. If you substitute that in equation 2, the B value will get as 2780 mm. Okay, 2 B values are there. You will be having confusion. Which value you have to take? Okay, always you will be designing for the worst condition. Okay, for that, instead of choosing 2100, which is the higher one, 3200 means you have to go with the bigger value. Select the bigger value of the these two. Okay, therefore B will be 3200 mm. H is 2.5 mm. Okay, he has asked you to calculate B value as well as H value. You have calculated both the values. I think